I want you to see what real wealth looks like. My ex wrote on my wedding invitation sending to me. I smiled, brought her fiancé's ex as my plus one, and waited. By dessert, we were the headline. Okay, I'm still processing this whole situation, and honestly, I can't believe it actually worked out this perfectly. But let me back up because this story is absolutely insane. First, I am Samuel, and 2 years ago, my ex Rachel dumped me after being my personal ATM throughout college. Rent, dates, textbooks, I paid for everything while she'd conveniently forget her wallet. The breakup text. Just a classic Rachel that I need someone who can give me the lifestyle I deserve. You're sweet, but Ethan can actually provide for me. Ethan being this guy from her business ethics class whose family owns half the commercial real estate in our city. Rich. Like drives a Tesla at 22 rich. I was devastated, broke, and honestly, relieved. Finally stopped hemorrhaging money. Fast forward to last month. I'm doing great, new job, savings account that actually has money in it, dating someone amazing. Then I get this thick, expensive wedding invitation in the mail. Cream cardstock, gold embossing, the works. But here's the kicker. There's a handwritten note in the corner in Rachel's familiar purple ink. I want you to see what real wealth looks like. You'll understand what you could never give me. R. I'm reading this thing and my hands are literally shaking. Not from hurt, from pure rage. This wasn't an invitation. This was a calculated humiliation. She wanted me there to watch her win. But here's where it gets interesting. I spent about 10 minutes furious, then something clicked. I started laughing. Like, actually laughing out loud in my apartment because I realized she just handed me the perfect opportunity. See, if you're going to invite your ex to your wedding specifically to hurt them, maybe don't make it that obvious. Maybe also make sure your new husband doesn't have his own messy romantic history. So I did what any reasonable person would do. I stalked Ethan's social media. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, the whole digital deep dive. And that's when I found her. Sophie Chen. Every couple photo with Ethan from 2019 to early 2022 included this gorgeous girl who clearly wasn't just a friend. We're talking anniversary posts, family dinner pics, vacation shots, classic long-term relationship content. Then suddenly, nothing. All photos with Sophie just stopped appearing around February 2022. Guess when Rachel started posting with Ethan? March 2022. The math was mathing, as they say. I found Sophie's Instagram and sent her a DM. I'm not proud of this, but I was running on pure spite energy. Hey Sophie, I know this is random, but I'm Rachel's ex and I just got invited to her wedding with Ethan. I'm wondering if you might want to be my plus one. I have a feeling there's a story here. She responded within an hour. Oh my God, Rachel is the girl Ethan cheated on me with. I'd love to attend their wedding. Let's talk. And Reddit, the phone call that followed, Sophie laid out everything. Ethan had been with her for 3 years. They were talking engagement. Then he started working late, being secretive with his phone, the classic cheater behavior. She caught him with Rachel at some coffee shop near campus, holding hands and making out like teenagers. When she confronted him, he chose Rachel. Told Sophie that Rachel understood his ambitions better and that Sophie was too comfortable with mediocrity. Sophie was hurt, but she'd moved on. Started her own marketing consultancy, was doing amazing. But the chance to watch Rachel's fairytale wedding implode, she was so in. We met for coffee to plan our approach. Sophie is brilliant, by the way. She suggested we keep everything classy but pointed. No drama, no scenes, just presence. Sometimes the most devastating thing you can do is simply show up. The wedding was last Saturday at some bougie country club. I picked Sophie up in my car, not fancy but reliable, and we walked into that reception hall together, arm in arm, both dressed to kill. The look on Rachel's face when she saw us. I wish I had it framed. Pure shock, then recognition, then this horrible dawning realization of what was happening. Her carefully planned humiliation was about to backfire spectacularly. Ethan spotted us next. I watched his face go from confusion to recognition to absolute panic in about 3 seconds. Sophie gave him a little wave. I swear I heard him whisper, "Oh fuck," from across the room. But we stayed calm. We found our table. They'd seated me at table 12, way in the back with distant relatives, another petty move, introduced ourselves to the other guests as old friends, and acted like we were having the most wonderful time. The ceremony itself was beautiful, I'll give them that. Rachel looked stunning, Ethan looked handsome, and I genuinely felt nothing. No jealousy, no regret. Just this weird sense of anticipation for what was coming. Because the reception, oh man, the reception is where everything fell apart. Rachel kept shooting glances at our table. Ethan looked like he was going to be sick. And Sophie and I, we were laughing, dancing, having genuine fun. It was like we'd known each other for years. Then came the toasts. Rachel's maid of honor went first, standard stuff about friendship and love. Ethan's best man followed, jokes about college, generic marriage advice, normal wedding toast stuff. But then, and I'm still not sure what possessed me to do this, I stood up. "Excuse me," I said, tapping my champagne glass. "I'd love to say a few words if that's okay." The room went quiet. Rachel's eyes went wide. The DJ actually turned down the music. I walked up to the microphone and looked out at about 150 wedding guests, most of whom had no idea who I was or why I was there. For those who don't know me, I'm an old friend of Rachel's, and I just wanted to say, I paused, looked directly at Rachel and smiled. "Congratulations on finding exactly what you were looking for." The room was silent. You could hear a pin drop. I continued. "Rachel always knew what she wanted in life. She's very goal-oriented, very clear about what success looks like to her. And Ethan, you're clearly a man who knows how to get what he wants too." Still smiling, still keeping my voice warm and congratulatory. "I hope you both get everything you deserve from this marriage. I really, truly do." I raised my glass. "To Rachel and Ethan, may you always be exactly as happy as you've made other people." And I sat back down. The applause was confused, scattered. People clapped because they felt like they should, but there was this weird energy in the room because something felt off about what I'd said, even though technically it was positive. But I wasn't done, because Sophie had something to say too. She stood up at our table and in a voice that carried perfectly across the silent room said, "Ethan, honey, I just want you to know I forgive you for cheating on me with Rachel. I really do. I hope this works out better for you than our 3 years together did." And that's when the fairy tale cracked. The gasps were audible. Rachel's face went white. Ethan looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. And the wedding guests. They went from confused to fascinated in about half a second. Sophie sat back down, picked up her champagne, and winked at me. The DJ, bless him, quickly started the music back up, but the damage was done. I could see people at other tables whispering, phones coming out. The wedding energy completely shifted. Rachel's parents looked mortified. Ethan's parents looked furious. And the happy couple, they looked like they wanted to run. We stayed for exactly 1 more hour, long enough to eat dinner and dance to a couple songs, then we gracefully made our exit. On the way out, Sophie squeezed my arm and said, "That was even better than I imagined." We went to a dive bar afterward and laughed until we cried. Turns out, revenge is best served with excellent company and cheap beer. So Reddit. AITA for accepting a wedding invitation that was clearly meant to hurt me and bringing the groom's ex as my date. Because honestly, I'm having trouble feeling bad about it. Rachel wanted me to see what real wealth looks like. Mission accomplished. Turns out real wealth is knowing your worth and not settling for someone who sees you as a bank account. Update 1. Holy shit, you guys. I wasn't planning to post an update this soon, but Rachel's honeymoon happened and apparently it was a complete disaster. And I know because she texted me multiple times while she was supposed to be living her dream life with her rich husband. Okay, backing up. After my last post blew up, thank you for all the support. By the way, you guys made me feel so much less guilty about the wedding thing. I figured that was it. Rachel got her comeuppance, I got my closure, everyone moves on. I was wrong. 3 days after the wedding, I'm at work when my phone starts buzzing. Unknown number, but the messages. I recognize the dramatic writing style immediately. "I know you're reading this, we need to talk. What you did was cruel and you know it. I'm on my honeymoon and I can't stop thinking about how you ruined everything. Ethan won't even touch me. He keeps asking about my history with men and money." And then the one that made me actually laugh out loud in my cubicle. "You brought her on purpose. You planned this whole thing to hurt me." Like, yes, Rachel, that was exactly the point. Gold star for reading comprehension, but I didn't respond. I screenshotted everything and sent it to Sophie. Sophie's response was, "Girl is spiraling. This is amazing." The texts kept coming throughout their week in the Maldives. Because of course they went to the Maldives. Can't have a basic honeymoon when you're trying to prove you've upgraded your life. He's different now. He keeps questioning everything I say. He wants to know why I invited you. I told him it was to show that I'd moved on, but he doesn't believe me. Why did you have to involve Sophie? She didn't belong there. And then, day 5 of their romantic getaway, we're cutting the honeymoon short. Ethan booked us an early flight home. He says he needs space to think. "This is all your fault." I started feeling almost bad for her, but then I remembered the note she wrote on my wedding invitation. I want you to see what real wealth looks like. My sympathy evaporated pretty quickly. Sophie was getting updates too, because apparently Ethan was doing his own dramatic texting spree. His messages to her were a lot more apologetic. Sophie, I'm sorry for how things ended between us. You were right about Rachel, I should have listened. Can we talk when I get back? Sophie showed me the screenshots and we both just stared at them. Like the audacity of this man. Cheats on his girlfriend, marries the other woman, then tries to come crawling back during his honeymoon. Sophie's response was perfect. Ethan, I'm very happy with my life now. I suggest you figure out how to be happy with yours. Good luck. Then she blocked him. But the real tea came from my friend Marcus, who works at the country club where they had the wedding. Apparently, the gossip among the staff was intense. Several guests had approached the wedding planner asking about the drama during the toasts, and multiple people had posted about it on social media. Marcus said the country club manager actually called Rachel's parents to ask if there were going to be any reputation issues stemming from the wedding. Because apparently having your son-in-law's ex-girlfriend announce he's a cheater during the reception toasts is not the kind of publicity upscale venues want. But here's the kicker, and Marcus heard this directly from one of the servers who was working their table during dinner. Rachel and Ethan spent the entire reception meal in tense whispered arguments. Other guests at their table were visibly uncomfortable. The server said she heard Rachel hiss something like, "You told me she was crazy and obsessive," and Ethan responding, "You told me he was a loser who couldn't get over you." Apparently they were both realizing that they'd been telling each other lies about their exes to make themselves look better. And having the actual exes show up together, clearly having a great time, kind of shattered those narratives. When they got back from the shortened honeymoon, Rachel texted me one more time. "I hope you're happy. You got what you wanted." And honestly, yeah, I kind of am happy. Not because their marriage is struggling, okay, maybe a little because of that, but because I'm finally free from wondering what if about Rachel. Seeing her true colors, the entitlement, the manipulation, the complete inability to take responsibility for her own actions, just confirmed that I dodged a massive bullet. Sophie and I are planning to go to trivia night next week. Turns out we both love 90s music and terrible reality TV shows. If I had to get my heart broken and my bank account drained to eventually meet such an awesome friend, I guess it was worth it. Update to you guys. I can't even believe I'm typing this, but Rachel and Ethan's marriage is completely falling apart. And I know because Rachel showed up at my apartment last night. She came to my home. After the honeymoon disaster, things between Rachel and Ethan apparently went from bad to nuclear. I know this because my friend Marcus, remember, the one who works at the country club, has been keeping me updated on the local gossip. Turns out, Rachel and Ethan's wedding drama became the story in our social circle. People were talking about it for weeks. Marcus said even people who weren't at the wedding had heard about the ex-girlfriend revealed during the toasts. But more importantly, Sophie had some mutual friends with Ethan from college who were filling her in on his side of the story. And let me tell you, it was not pretty. Apparently, after they got back from the Maldives, Ethan started questioning everything about their relationship. He went through Rachel's social media, her Venmo history, even asked his friends what they really thought about her. What he found? Well, it wasn't great for Rachel. Sophie's friend told her that Ethan discovered Rachel had been talking to multiple guys from her classes throughout their entire relationship, always with some sob story about needing money for books, or rent, or emergencies. I wasn't the only one funding her lifestyle. I was just the most consistent contributor. There were Venmo payments from at least 6 different guys over the past 2 years. All with requests like emergency car repair or short on rent this month. Will pay back soon, spoiler alert, she never paid anyone back. Ethan also found old group chat screenshots on her phone where she was literally comparing the financial benefits of dating different guys, rating them on generosity and willingness to help out. When he confronted her about all this, Rachel tried to play it off as just joking around with friends and everyone needs help sometimes. But Ethan wasn't buying it anymore. The final straw came when Ethan's parents found out about the wedding drama. Apparently, someone at the wedding had posted a video on Instagram stories that included audio of Sophie's toast. It got shared around, and eventually Ethan's mom saw it. His parents called an emergency family meeting. They wanted to know why their new daughter-in-law's ex-boyfriend was making toasts about her being goal-oriented, and why their son's ex-girlfriend was announcing he was a cheater at his own wedding. When the truth came out, about the cheating, about Rachel's financial manipulation patterns, about the wedding invitation being a deliberate attempt to humiliate me, Ethan's parents were not happy. They threatened to cut off his trust fund access if he didn't take some time to seriously evaluate his life choices. That's when the real fight started. According to Sophie's sources, Rachel and Ethan spent 3 weeks in constant arguments. She accused him of letting his parents control his life. He accused her of being a gold digger who never actually loved him. They were both right. 2 weeks ago, Ethan moved back in with his parents temporarily. Rachel moved back in with hers, and last night, Rachel showed up at my door. I heard the knock around 9 p.m. and looked through the peephole to see her standing there in jeans and a hoodie looking absolutely wrecked. No makeup, hair in a messy bun, the whole thing. I almost didn't answer, but honestly, curiosity won. "What do you want, Rachel?" I asked through the barely open door. "Can I come in? I need to talk to someone who understands." Understands what? What it's like to lose everything. Against my better judgment, I let her in. She sat on my couch, the same couch she used to complain wasn't nice enough, and just started crying. "He kicked me out," she said. "Ethan kicked me out and his parents hate me and everyone thinks I'm this terrible person and it's all because of what you did at the wedding." I stared at her. "What I did? You brought Sophie on purpose. You planned this whole thing to ruin my marriage." "Rachel," I said, "I brought Sophie because you invited me specifically to hurt me. You wrote that note about wanting me to see real wealth. You tried to humiliate me at your own wedding." I didn't mean it like that." "How did you mean it?" She couldn't answer. We sat in silence for a few minutes before she started talking again, and what came out was, honestly, kind of heartbreaking. Not because I felt bad for her, but because of how completely delusional she was about everything. She told me she never meant to hurt anyone. That she just wanted security and didn't think it was wrong to accept help from people who cared about her. That Ethan promised her a certain lifestyle, and now she was back to having nothing. "I gave up everything for him," she said. "I broke up with you, I changed my whole personality to be what he wanted, I cut off friends he didn't like. And for what? So he could throw me away the second things got complicated." "Rachel," I said, "you didn't break up with me for Ethan. You broke up with me because I couldn't give you the lifestyle you wanted. There's a difference." "I loved you," she said, crying harder. "I did love you, but love doesn't pay rent." And that's when it hit me. Rachel genuinely believed that love and money were the same thing, that if someone loved her, they should be willing to financially support her. That accepting money from multiple guys wasn't manipulation, it was just smart relationship management. She wasn't evil, she was just completely disconnected from how relationships actually work. "I know I made mistakes," she continued, "but everyone makes mistakes. Don't I deserve a second chance?" "From who?" I asked. "From you, from Ethan, from everyone who's writing me off as this horrible person." I looked at her sitting on my couch, mascara streaked down her face, asking me to forgive her for treating me like a bank account for 2 years, and I felt nothing. Not anger, not satisfaction, not pity, just nothing. "Rachel," I said gently, "I'm not the person you need to have this conversation with. You need to have it with a therapist." She stayed for another hour, mostly just crying and talking in circles about how unfair everything was. I listened without saying much, and eventually she left. After she was gone, I texted Sophie. "Rachel just came over. Marriage is officially over. She's not doing great." Sophie's response: "Do you feel bad for her?" And honestly, I had to think about it. Do I feel bad that her marriage imploded? Not really. They built their relationship on lies and manipulation. Do I feel bad that she's facing consequences for her actions? Definitely not. Do I feel bad that she's clearly struggling with some deeper issues around money and relationships? Yeah, actually, I do. But feeling bad for someone and wanting them back in your life are two completely different things. Rachel made her choices. She chose to see relationships as transactions. She chose to manipulate multiple people financially. She chose to cheat with Ethan. She chose to try to humiliate me at her wedding. Those choices have consequences. I hope she gets the help she needs. I hope she figures out how to have healthy relationships. I hope she finds whatever it is she's actually looking for, but I'm not going to be part of that journey. Update 3. It's been 6 months since Rachel and Ethan's wedding, and holy shit, you guys. The fallout is still happening. I wasn't going to post another update, but something happened last week that I think you'll find very satisfying. Also, I have some personal news that I'm pretty excited about. First, let me catch you up on where everyone ended up after my last update. About Rachel, after the marriage imploded, she moved back in with her parents and actually got her life together, kind of. She started therapy, apparently her parents insisted on it, got a job at a marketing firm, and from what I can tell through mutual friends, she's been single and actually paying her own bills. I haven't heard from her since that night she showed up at my apartment. No texts, no surprise visits, no attempts to contact me through friends. I think she finally got the message. About Ethan, this is where it gets interesting. After his parents threatened to cut him off, he spent about 2 months trying to win Sophie back. Flowers, long apologetic texts, showing up at her work, the whole 9 yards. Sophie shut it down every time. Then he tried the changed man approach. Started volunteering, joined a gym, posted a lot of social media content about personal growth and learning from mistakes. Still didn't work. Last I heard, he's dating someone new, but according to Sophie's sources, his trust fund access is still limited, and his parents are keeping a very close eye on his relationship choices. About Sophie, thriving. Her marketing consultancy is doing amazing. She's dating a really nice guy she met through work, and we've become genuine friends. She actually helped me with something pretty big, which brings me to my news. But before I get to that, let me tell you about what happened last week. I was at Target when I ran into Rachel's mom in the grocery section. I haven't seen Mrs. Peterson since the breakup, and honestly, I wasn't sure if she'd even acknowledge me. But she walked right up to me with this relieved smile and said, "Oh honey, I'm so glad I ran into you." We ended up talking for 20 minutes right there next to the cereal aisle, and she told me things I definitely wasn't expecting to hear. Apparently, Rachel's therapy has been illuminating. She's been working through a lot of issues around money and relationships that go way back to her childhood. Mrs. Peterson didn't go into details, but she said Rachel has been doing a lot of work to understand why she developed such an unhealthy relationship with financial security. She talks about you sometimes, Mrs. Peterson said. About how she treated you and how sorry she is. She knows she can't fix what she did, but she's really trying to be better. She also told me that Rachel had seen my LinkedIn update about my promotion, more on that in a second, and had apparently said, "I'm glad he's doing well. He deserves good things." Which, honestly, that felt like closure I didn't even know I needed. Mrs. Peterson also dropped some tea about the wedding situation. Apparently, Rachel's extended family has not let her forget about the drama. Every family gathering, someone brings up that disaster wedding or asks pointed questions about Ethan. Her cousin still calls it the wedding where the truth came out, Mrs. Peterson said with a little laugh. I think the embarrassment has been part of Rachel's motivation to get help. But here's the kicker, Mrs. Peterson thanked me. What you did at that wedding, she said, it probably saved Rachel from a much worse situation down the line. That boy was never going to make her happy, and she was never going to be satisfied with whatever he gave her. Sometimes people need a wake-up call. I didn't know what to say to that, but it felt good, like maybe the wedding drama served a purpose beyond just revenge. Anyway, on to my news. I got promoted. Senior account manager at my company, with a substantial raise and my own team. It's everything I worked for while I was with Rachel, except now I get to enjoy the benefits myself instead of watching them disappear into someone else's lifestyle. And Sophie helped me celebrate by introducing me to her friend Claire, who is. Well, let's just say she insisted on paying for her own dinner on our first date, and when I tried to argue about it, she said, "I'm a grown woman with my own money, thank you very much." We've been dating for 3 months now, and it's been amazing to be with someone who sees relationships as partnerships instead of transactions. Claire knows the whole Rachel saga. Sophie filled her in, and her take on it was, "Sounds like you learned exactly what you don't want in a relationship. Good for you for not settling." Last weekend, Claire and I went to a wedding for one of her coworkers. Beautiful ceremony, lovely reception, and you know what the best part was? Nobody's ex-girlfriend showed up to reveal family secrets during the toasts. Just a normal drama-free wedding where two people who actually love each other celebrated with their friends and family. It was perfect. So that's where we are now. Rachel is working on herself and seems to be doing better. Ethan is. I honestly don't care what Ethan is doing. Sophie is happy and successful. And I'm in a healthy relationship with someone who thinks my financial stability is attractive, but doesn't see it as something she's entitled to. The whole wedding revenge thing feels like it happened to a different person. Not because I regret it, I don't, but because I'm just in such a different place now. Sometimes the best revenge really is living well.